I'm David Marshall here in the Tournament Center at Pro Tour Journey into Nyx in Atlanta. I'm with Andrew Baeckstrom. Andrew, second Pro Tour. How'd you qualify for this one really quick?
I won a PTQ in Madison with Mono Blue Devotion.
And so you win a PTQ, and now you have to build a deck for a pretty much unexplored format.
Yeah.
What was your mentality? What were you thinking about?
I was trying to figure out the most powerful things you could do in the format. First things I looked at were Courser and Kruphix, amazing combination. You guys have seen that all day today.
Yes, we have.
Elspeth, totally dominant. And then the last piece of the puzzle for me was, what's the best way to deal with an Elspeth profitably? And the answer is Prognostic Sphinx.
Okay, so creatures, planeswalkers, spells, that kind of mix of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at your deck and see. So you're playing Bant Planeswalkers or Bant of Heroes or Merry Bant of Gentlemen, I don't know.
Absolutely.
So Kiora the Crashing Wave 4?
Yes.
Tell us about Kiora.
So I'm sure a lot of people thought Kiora was going to be more of a liability. The fact is this format is very mid-range and grindy, and it's very easy to just play a Kiora, keep it out there, take it down, get value. And with Courser of Kruphix, the amount of extra card advantage you can get is truly amazing.
Right. The -1 of drawing a card because you know what that card's going to be a lot of times because the Courser of Kruphix is pretty insane, and all the scrying as well.
Yes.
What's the proper sequencing in general for playing a Kiora?
The ideal is to either just play it on turn 3 because these decks are just not doing anything but playing Caryatids, and you immediately start minusing it. Or is to get it out the turn after a Courser of Kruphix and be able to use that to play a land, the extra land from the top of your deck. When you get Prognostic Sphinx out as well, you can set it up so that your draws will be truly awesome.
Okay. Elspeth Sun's Champion has been, we've seen it in every possible color combination in this tournament. Tell us about your Elspeths.
The card's been phenomenal all weekend. It just gives you incredible inevitability. Even when their heroes downfalling it, my deck is so good at continuing to put out more Elspeths. Eventually I could just get out 9 Elspeth tokens and just be attacking with all of those tokens.
So you're just like emptying the Warrens and just like getting in there?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then Ajani, Mentor of Heroes, only 2, but it's a third Planeswalker. I think that's as many Planeswalkers as we've seen in any deck.
Yeah.
What does Ajani do for you?
So Ajani's +1 basically doesn't exist, and its ultimate doesn't exist. It would be super awesome to be putting Prognostic Sphinx counters together, but with Elspeth in the format and being so prevalent, you don't want your Prognostic Sphinx to get to 4 power or greater.
So,
yes.
So it doesn't do you much good to have it on a Sylvan Caryatid, and then you make your Prognostic Sphinx into a liability with a counter.
Exactly. What you really want to do with Ajani in this deck is you just want to use it to find more Prognostic Sphinxes, more Elspeths, and most of the grindy Caryatid Courser decks in the format are very bad at attacking, and so it could just sit out there, and if it eats a hero's downfall, you're so far ahead because they've used the hero's downfall on the Ajani, it's not there for the Elspeth, and you're up a card.
Yeah, so I mean, I've only played with Ajani in Limited.
Yes.
So just for those of you in my shoes, let me read to you the second ability. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura, creature, or planeswalker card from among them and put it in your hand. So when you were talking about the idea that you were able to rip through your deck and play a lot of Elspeths, part of that is Ajani and all your scrying and everything else.
And it's important not to overlook the fact that it manipulates the top of your library. So you have a Courser of Kruphix out, there's no land on top, you +1 Ajani, next thing you know, there's a land on top, maybe hopefully a scry land.
Please tell me you've gained 100 life.
I have not.
This deck tech is over.
All
right, no, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Okay, so creatures.
Yes.
You only have 4 creatures in your deck, 4 types of creatures. Sylvan Caryatid and Courser of Kruphix have been talked about pretty infinitely. Tell me about Kiora's Follower.
So the deal with Kiora's Follower in the deck is that it is so good with Prognostic Sphinx. When I was testing various permutations of Prognostic Sphinx decks, one of the things that would happen is I would get out a Prognostic Sphinx, be maybe at like 8 to 10 life, and just have to leave it back on defense. Other decks which have Voyaging Satyr don't get this added value of you are able to untap the Prognostic Sphinx, leave it back on defense as a hexproof blocker, and sometimes people will try to prevent you from scrying 3. They'll Hero's Downfall your Prognostic Sphinx before attacks, untap it with Kiora's Follower, and you still get to attack.
So you discard, they go to kill it, you protect it by discarding a card to its ability, it taps, then you untap it and smash their face anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That's really nice. Because I have seen Voyaging Satyr in this a lot of times, but I really like that with the Kiora Swallow. How hard is it for you to like reliably get blue-green or to like do any of the, make your drops on the right turns?
It's definitely somewhat of an issue. It comes up every once in a while. One of the other nice upside of Kiora's followers is this deck is a little weak to Painseer, which I expected to see a good bit of. And the ability for Kiora's follower, unlike Voyaging Satyr, to trade with a Painseer has definitely helped.
Okay. Have you untapped anyone's Painseer to try to kill them?
I have not.
Come on, you're not letting me have any fun.
I know. There's a lot of fun with this deck, but you're going a little deep.
Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Yes.
Your spells. So this is really a tight little deck. It's like one slide of Planeswalkers, one slide of creatures, one slide of spells.
Yes.
4 Unravel the Æther.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, sure. To your point about there being a lot of, it's very compact and tight, I expected a lot of discard with Thoughtseize and Brain Maggot. My deck is super duper redundant. With regards to Unravel the Æther, I expected mono black aggro to be a real strong deck in this format, and there is no easier way in this format to threaten a Planeswalker than to throw Herald of Torment onto something. Unravel the Æther deals with that problem, and it deals with a lot of the good answers for Planeswalkers, like Banishing Light.
Have you seen a lot of people playing 4 copies of this?
4 copies in the main. I haven't seen anybody else going that far. I haven't seen the list that everyone else is playing. I know at least some of the bug decks are playing a couple copies.
Okay, 4 Banishing Light, pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
But it's really your only, this and Courser of Kruphix are your only enchantments in the deck?
Yeah, I'm a little bit softer on number of enchantments, and a lot of times against the decks which I expect will bring in a lot of enchantment hate, I will side out the Banishing Lights because I have other answers for the problems, and I will leave their Deicides and Unravel the Æthers a little more dead.
Okay. Reprisal, there for big monsters.
The 2 cards in the format which I was most concerned about when I put Reprisal in were Polish Crusher out of the Naya midrange decks, which can be a real nightmare for this deck, and Abhorrent Overlord. Now, it looks like the Junk Reanimator deck hasn't shown up in the numbers that I expected it to, but the ability to kill an Abhorrent Overlord in response to the Devotion trigger means that they will not get the Harpies, and all of those Harpies are a real mess for your Prognostic Sphinx. Okay,
well, let's take a look at your mana base here.
Yeah.
12 Scrylands. Keep going here. Let's see the...
Scrylands are great.
Yeah, we've seen the top of pretty much everybody's deck in this tournament. 1 Mana Confluence. I imagine that's a nod to some of the mana difficulties.
Yeah, I almost went with 2, but I was still worried in testing it would cause me a little too much pain.
Okay, 8 Forests, 4 Islands. Take a quick look at the sideboard. 4 Sedge Scorpion. This is the card I really want to talk about in your sideboard.
Let's get
Tell me what it's there for.
Sedge Scorpion is so great against the aggro decks in the format, and the reason why is that a lot of the aggro decks in the format are playing cards like Boon of Erebos, God's Willing, Ajani's Presence. You throw down a Sedge Scorpion, and now their Painseer or their favorite Hoplite has to attack. They could protect it with one of those pump spells, but once they do that, they're leaving you wide open for your Banishing Lights and your Reprisals and your Kioras to just lock it down.
Okay, 1 Annul, 2 Deicide, 1 Reprisal. Let's go on to the last slide. And we see 2 Glare of Heresy, 2 Dissolve, 2 Arbor Colossus, and the other card I wanted to ask you about, 1 Perplexing Chimera. Is that like your just like fancy signature on a deck?
You look perplexed.
I am perplexed.
No, I was looking for a card that was good against the grindy Courser Caryatid decks, and decks like the bug deck have Psychic Intrusion. I have Perplexing Chimera. I throw down a Perplexing Chimera. What are you going to do? Can you cast your Prognostic Sphinx? No. Can you cast your Elspeth? No. And if you try to Hero's Downfall my Elspeth, well, it's now targeting Perplexing Chimera.
Awesome. Very cool. Very exciting. Okay. I got to let Andrew Baeckstrom get back out to the floor. He's got some more Magic to play. For him, I'm Brian David Marshall. Sending it back.